the valley long before the clouds touched the mountain. Winds howled like wounded spirits, shaking the trees, bending their branches as if bowing to something unseen. In the heart of that gathering darkness walked a man named Elias, tired, defeated, and carrying a silence that felt heavier than the stones beneath his feet. He had not spoken a full sentence in days. Grief had a way of stealing words. Elias wrapped his torn cloak around himself, shielding his face from the cold rain as he climbed the rocky path leading to a place he once called sacred. A place where he used to pray with hope. A place where he once believed God heard him. But tonight, he wasn't sure anymore. His wife had died just weeks ago. His daughter had fallen sick. His faith, once so alive, had grown thin like fading smoke. Everything inside him felt empty. Lightning split the sky, illuminating the mountain for a heartbeat, and in that flash Elias saw something unexpected. A lone figure kneeling at the hill's crest, robes soaked, head bowed, hands resting gently on his knees. Elias froze. The storm didn't touch the man. It passed around him, almost respecting him. A warm, gentle glow pulsed from his chest, the soft radiance of a heart alive with holy fire. The sacred heart. A light that didn't burn, but comforted. Elias' breath shook in his chest. Could it be? Thunder rumbled like the world taking a long, mournful breath. Elias felt something stir within him, the faint echo of a faith he thought he had lost. Slowly he climbed toward the figure. The closer he came, the calmer the storm grew. Rain softened. Wind quieted. The ground itself seemed to steady beneath his trembling steps. Elias stopped a few feet away. The kneeling man lifted his head. Raindrops clung to his face like tears, but his eyes, oh his eyes. They were deep, ancient, and overflowing with a love so fierce it felt impossible to stand before it. And then his lips parted. Elias, Jesus whispered. The sound wasn't loud, it didn't need to be. It passed through the storm, through the wind, through the despair inside Elias' heart and found the part of him that was still alive beneath all the pain. Elias fell to his knees, tears spilling freely. Lord, why? He whispered. Why did you take everything from me? Why am I left with nothing? His voice cracked like fragile glass. Jesus didn't answer immediately. Instead, he looked at Elias the way only Jesus can, with a tenderness that dismantles defenses and reaches the wounds no one sees. My child, he said softly, you have not been abandoned. Elias shook his head. My wife is gone, my daughter might die, my faith is broken, and I am alone. Jesus leaned forward, the glowing heart on his chest shimmering like dawn breaking through darkness. You are never alone, he said. Not for a moment. Not in the silence. Not in the pain. Not even in the places where you believe I am absent. Elias felt a surge of emotion overwhelm him. Anger, grief, confusion. He had carried them all, silently, afraid even to pray. Then why does it hurt so much? He whispered. Jesus reached out, placing a hand over Elias' trembling ones. The warmth of his touch radiated through Elias' arms, through his chest, into the cold corners of his soul. Because love hurts when it breaks, Jesus said. But love is also what heals. The storm above them softened into a gentle rain, each drop glowing faintly as if catching the light of the Sacred Heart. Jesus continued, You have cried alone in the nights. You have screamed into the silence. You have begged the heavens for answers. And even when you thought I didn't listen, I was sitting beside you. Elias' tears came harder now. He felt seen, completely seen, in a way no human had ever been able to understand. Jesus lifted his face toward the dark sky, letting the rain flow over his cheeks like tears. Elias, he whispered, your suffering is not a punishment, it is not abandonment, it is not the end of your story. Elias lowered his head. I don't know how to go on, he whispered. Jesus placed a hand over his glowing heart. You will not walk alone. I will guide every step. I will strengthen what has become weak. I will rebuild what has fallen apart. And I will breathe life into what you believe is dead. The words soaked into Elias' heart like warm light entering a cold room. He felt the weight on his chest begin to loosen, not fully but enough to breathe again. Stand with me, Jesus said gently. Elias tried, but his knees buckled. He had been carrying so much pain for so long, his body simply refused to obey. Jesus smiled softly. "Then I will kneel with you." And he did. The Son of God, the Savior of the world, knelt in the storm beside a broken man, sharing the same ground, the same rain, the same silence. And in that moment, Elias understood something he had forgotten. God does not wait for us on mountaintops of strength. He meets us in the mud of our despair. He kneels beside us in our suffering. He whispers into the broken places, and his whisper brings life. The storm continued to fade. Light began to grow around them. But the real change was happening inside Elias, in the wounds no one could see. Jesus placed a hand gently over Elias' heart. "It's okay to break," he whispered. "But let me be the one who heals you." Elias closed his eyes, letting the warmth of the Sacred Heart sink deeper into him, unraveling knots of pain he had held for far too long. For the first time since losing everything, he felt a spark of hope. A small one, but real. And Jesus' voice, soft and steady, echoed through his soul. "This is only the beginning." Elias opened his eyes slowly, the storm now nothing more than a soft drizzle. The air felt different, warmer, calmer, alive with a presence that wrapped around him like a gentle embrace. Jesus still knelt beside him, his robe drenched, his Sacred Heart glowing like a small sun in the darkness. For a long moment neither of them spoke. Sometimes silence heals more than words ever can. Elias finally found his voice. "Lord, if you're with me, then help me understand. Help me carry this pain." Jesus looked at him with eyes full of the deepest compassion. "I will carry it with you," he said. "But first you must allow your heart to speak." Elias hesitated. He had locked his grief tight inside himself, afraid that if he opened even one memory he would collapse beneath its weight. Jesus gently placed a hand on his shoulder. "Let it out," he whispered. A tremor ran through Elias' chest. He took a shuddering breath and finally said the words he had buried. "I miss her. I miss the way she held our daughter. I miss the way she prayed for me when I had no strength. I miss my family, Lord. I miss the life I lost." As the words poured out, Elias broke. Not the quiet, controlled weeping he had forced on himself for weeks, but deep, shaking sobs that ripped out of him like a dam finally cracking open. He bowed forward, hands pressed into the wet earth, the storm's remaining raindrops mixing with his tears. Jesus didn't move away. He didn't tell him to be strong. He didn't silence the pain. He simply touched Elias' back, the warmth of his palm radiating through the grief like a calming breath. "Your tears," Jesus said softly, "are not a sign of weakness. They are proof that your heart loved deeply." Elias shook his head. "But my daughter, she's still sick. I'm afraid I'll lose her too." Jesus closed his eyes for a moment, as if feeling the weight of that fear himself. "Your daughter is not alone," he said gently, "and neither are you." He lifted Elias' face with tender hands, forcing him to meet his gaze. "I do not promise you a life without storms," Jesus said, "but I promise you this. I will stand in every storm with you, and my presence will be your strength." Light flickered again around the Sacred Heart, brighter than before, almost as if his compassion ignited it. Elias swallowed hard. "Lord, I don't know how to move forward." Jesus smiled softly, the kind of smile that melts fear and builds courage. "You will walk," he said. "And when your legs fail you, I will carry you. When your hope fades, I will breathe new hope into you. And when your heart breaks again, I will heal it." He stood slowly and extended his hand. "Come." Elias took his hand, rising shakily to his feet. The storm clouds parted as if obedient to the simple act, allowing the first hint of dawn to spill across the horizon. Warm light touched the world, turning the wet stones into mirrors of gold. "Look," Jesus said softly. Elias lifted his head. The sun broke through, its rays stretching like hands of light reaching toward them, filling the valley with color. "This," Jesus whispered, "is what happens when hope returns." Elias closed his eyes for a moment, letting the sunlight embrace him. His hands, still shaking, slowly steadied. "When you go back to your daughter," Jesus said, Do not take fear with you. Take me. Elias nodded, tears still on his cheeks but a new strength building in his chest. Jesus stepped closer, placing his glowing hand directly over Elias' heart. A surge of warmth spread through him, soft, strong, alive. It felt like his heart had been wrapped in light. Your daughter will feel this, Jesus said, because love travels farther than your voice ever could. Elias gasped at the warmth filling him, a warmth that felt like peace for the first time in months. But Lord, Elias whispered, what about my wife? I still feel lost without her. Jesus' expression softened with an infinite tenderness. She is with me, he said gently, and she watches over your daughter even now. Death cannot silence love. It only changes the way it speaks. Elias' chest tightened, but this time it wasn't from pain. It was from healing. Jesus stepped back, his glowing heart beginning to calm, its light turning softer, gentler. You came here thinking you were alone, he said, but you were never alone. Not in your home. Not in your grief. Not even in your silence. A gentle wind swept across the hill, carrying the scent of wet earth and new beginnings. Elias whispered, Lord, what do you want from me now? Jesus lifted his face to the sky. Live, he said. Live with the love you still have. Live with the faith that is growing again. Live with the hope that your daughter will rise. And live knowing that I walk beside you. Elias breathed deeply. For the first time the air didn't hurt. Will I see you again? He asked quietly. Jesus smiled. You will feel me every time your heart trembles with love. You will hear me every time hope whispers softly. And you will see me in every miracle you thought was impossible. The horizon brightened further, flooding the hill with morning gold. Jesus began to step backward. Not fading, not disappearing. Just blending into the rising light as if he belonged to it. But before the light wrapped fully around him, he spoke one last whisper. Your soul is not broken, Elias. It is awakening. The words settled into Elias like truth he had always known but forgotten. In the next blink the light expanded, and Jesus was gone. What remained was the warmth in Elias' heart. Steady, alive, glowing like the sacred heart itself. He stood alone on the hill, but he no longer felt lost. He felt guided, strengthened, held. Elias turned toward the path leading home, the dawn lighting his way. He walked with steady steps, carrying not fear, but faith, not despair, but hope. And deep inside his chest, a whisper seemed to follow him with every step. I am with you, always.